What's good? It's your boy Jay, that's me. We're going to get into TNA Impact from July the 24th, 2025. A very good live show. This was a really good show. Most TNA live shows are fairly good, and this was no different. So we are officially on the road to Bound for Glory. We have a good 8 to 10 weeks. So it should be a good and exciting 8 to 10 weeks of television. And I think this episode was good. This was a really good live episode of TNA plus Slammiversary. The crowd was into it. They were into everything that TNA presented, basically. So good stuff there. Before we get into the review, Hulk Hogan passed away. And when I found out the news, I was extremely sad. One of my coworkers pulled me to the side and told me that, Hulk Hogan passed away. At first I was like, huh? Because I was shocked because I know he had surgery. And then seconds later, I ended up getting a notification on my phone, and it confirmed that Hulk Hogan did pass away. Hulk Hogan was 71 years old. Hulk Hogan was the one who got me into pro wrestling. Before The Rock, Stone Cold, Dusty Rhodes, and everybody from the 80s and 90s, it was Hulk Hogan who got me into pro wrestling. I love Hulk Hogan. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. One of. He is the GOAT of the industry. And he will be missed. He will be severely missed. And it's sad. But it just goes to show that we all have a date with death. It is what it is. And we have to accept it and make peace with it. We send our thoughts and prayers and our condolences to his friends and family and fans at this time. He will be missed. I am glad that TNA did a mini tribute. That was great. That's how they kicked off the show, which was excellent. I know that WWE is probably going to do not one but 2 tribute shows. So tomorrow on SmackDown, that's probably what SmackDown will be. I doubt that there'll be any stories or anything like that. It'll probably just be just one massive tribute show for Raw and SmackDown. And if that is the case, I'm fine with that. And then I probably will not be reviewing those shows. I probably will just watch those shows and just reflect. But Hulk Hogan will definitely be missed. Rest in peace. Rest in power. Rest in paradise. Thank you for Hulk Hogan. Thank you, Hulk Hogan, for everything that you've done for the industry as a whole. Thank you. So we kicked the show off, like I mentioned just moments ago. Tom Hannafin did the little tribute to Hulk Hogan, which was really good there. We got the black and white in memory of Hulk Hogan graphic, which was great. So that's good stuff there. I am interested in seeing how WWE is going to handle things on SmackDown and Raw, but we'll have to wait and see. So we officially kicked the show off with Santana Marella. He shows up and he does Hulk Hogan's brother shtick, which was good. So he says that before he even gets to my bad. Before he gets to say anything, Masha Slamovich, she shows up. So she tells Santino that she's not out here to thank him for his pep talk. She's out here to get what's rightfully hers. She says J.C. James stole what should be hers at Slammiversary. She demands her contractually obligated rematch next week. So Santino grants her that, and that was not the segment. This was actually a long segment. So the system, they come out, they give a massive pep talk about how they're TNA, Eddie starts cutting a face promo and saying that the system fights what they believe in. They beat Darkseid at Slammiversary, yada, yada, yada. Brian Myers and JDC, they all do the same thing. Moose, he puts over Leon Slater. And he says that he is the heart and soul of TNA. He's the franchise. Moose says he knows what he must do next. And it's 3 words. Three easy words. Whoop that Trick. So Trick shows up. Really good reaction. So Trick goes on to call out Moose for mumbling over his words and tell him to sit his mumbling ass down, which was hilarious. I love that. It's just to be clear, this is his house now. He's the guy that took the average Joe. Took out the average Joe. He boasted about being the same man who took out Mike Santana and brought TNA's largest attendance of all time. This is Trick and A. He says that he doesn't care if he's on a mission, talking about Moose, or repping the system, or playing the Detroit Pistons. He can't mess with Trick. Moose tells Trick to wobble his ass down here with Uncle Phil and Pink, and the system will show them how things are done. So then the Order 4, they show up. And Mustafa Ali, he says he's got no problems with Trick and A at all. But he wants to come out and prove that he's a part of the greatest faction. And then this leads into a massive brawl between the system and the Order 4. And I don't give a fuck about this. So, it is what it is. I don't care about this. Moving on. So, Santino Morella's backstage with the system. So, Matt Cardona, he shows up. He talked about faction warfare with 3 groups and says they have to settle this. Whatever. That's fine there. This leads us into the first match of the night, which was the Inspiration and Mara Sade, which is the Jarak Jackson. So that's the new name for Jarak Jackson, which is great. That's excellent. She got a really decent reaction. I'm glad that she is with TNA. I'm glad that she chose TNA. And I expect big things from her. I really do. I'm glad because WWE completely fucked over Jarak Jackson. They did. I mean, at times when she was there, I thought her and Lasher were gonna get called up, but it never happened. But TNA made the right decision by signing her, and we wish her nothing but the best. And I do think that she'll be successful. So basically, the Inspiration, they get the win. They hit the finish for the 1, 2, 3. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. Cool. So good shit there. Moving on. Let's still talk about the injuries. Tom Hannafin, he runs down the injury report, TNA injury report. So Gia Miller, Moose, and Casey Navarro, they're all still injured, basically. So that's cool there. So they're still working the feud between between Tessa Blanchard and Gia Miller. So that's cool. That should happen probably at their next TNA Plus event, which I don't know what it is. Moving on. So this leads us into a backstage segment involving Indy Hartwell. So Indy Hartwell, she's interviewed. So Victoria Crawford, she shows up. And Dane and Luna, they get involved in the mix, and a match is suggested. Crawford begins to call herself Indy Hartwell's mentor and goes off to find Santino to make said match. And then Hartwell insists that Crawford's not her mentor. That's cool there. Then we get some bullshit involving Eric Young and his Northern Army faction, which suck. They all suck. So Eric Young, he starts talking like a crazy man about wanting to do what is necessary to cleanse TNA. I have no idea what that even means, and I don't really give a fuck about it. I wish that Eric Young and company would go away. Like, it's time. Eric Young fucking sucks. He just does. Go away. Get rid of him. Moving on, the Hardy Boys and Leon Slater, they're out next. So Leon Slater shows up, gets a really good reaction. He tells the fans that they're far too kind because they were chanting his name, you deserve it. He talks about making history, and he respects Moose for how he handled things. He vows to bring the TNA X Division Championship to new heights. He asked the Hardys to come out so that they show up. The Hardys talk about being a special energy, about there being a special energy in the building and in TNA in general. So then Matt Hardy, he puts over Leon Slater. And same with Jeff Hardy. Steve Maclin shows up. He talks about being ready for war after outsiders infiltrate TNA regularly. He then praises Leon Slater for being the future and calls the Hardy Boys his peers and mentors and the greatest tag team of all time. So that was it. So it seems like they're going to set up a invasion angle with this whole TNA NXT crossover thing, which is great. So I do like that. I do expect for Steve Maclin to show up on NXT this Tuesday, and I think that should be tremendous. That should be pretty good. Even though I'm not a fan of Steve Maclin, I figured he was going to be inserted into this angle at some point in time. So good stuff there. Who knows? We could also see the Hardys show up as well, sending with Leon Slater. Moving on, this leads us into the no DQ match between Mance Warner and Jake Something. So Jake Something wins. He wins via the Black Hole Slam. He ended up doing a backdrop on the outside through thumbtacks. So it's just your typical no DQ match. Steel chairs, kendo sticks, trash can lids, trash cans, and all that stuff. I don't care about this shit. But I'm glad that Jake Something got the win. He deserves it. Hopefully, this means that he's going to eventually get a push, and maybe he's the one who ends up beating Steve Maclin for the international title at some point in the future. Hopefully that happens, because Jake Something is fucking awesome. Moving on. So JC Jane, she shows up from Fatal Influence. She cuts a really quick promo about making history and raising the bar. She mentions her contractually obligated rematch against Monster Slamovich on next week's show, and tells everyone to take a picture of perfection. Then she, talked about the Knockouts division, Tessa Blanchard, and others. So that's good there. We all know that Jacy Jane is going to basically win next week. Maybe Killer Kelly could show up and get involved and maybe be the one to cost Masha. Maybe we reignite that feud between Kelly and Masha going forward. I don't know. But something tells me that Jacy Jane is going to retain next week. I just feel it in my bones. I feel it in my soul. Moving on. This leads us into the Great Hands versus Matt Cardona and Brian Myers of the System. I don't care about this shit. The Great Hands, they win. I don't care. I really don't. And then this leads us into the main event of the evening. Frankie Kazarian comes out on commentary. He's about to, sit down, and then Matthew Raywall, he says that he doesn't want to hear it after what Frankie Kazarian did last week. Last Sunday at Slammiversary. So officials come out and then they send Frankie Kazarian on his merry way. Main event of the evening: Joe Hendry versus Mike Santana. Very good match. Mike Santana gets the win. He wins via spin the block, and him and Joe Hendry, they shake hands. So this makes perfect sense. I'm glad what they're doing here. It seems like Joe Hendry, now that he's lost to Mike Santana, even though he didn't lose clean, he lost via a roll-up, which I didn't like. But either one or two things are going to happen. This could lead to Joe Hendry turning heel, or this could lead to Joe Hendry possibly being done with TNA. Maybe his contract's up in maybe like a couple months, so maybe we could see him fully with WWE either by Halloween Havoc or at NXT Deadline in December. But it seems like Joe Hendry is on the way out. It really does. I mean, he's been taking a bunch of L's as of late, and usually when that happens, for the most part, it means that a wrestler is about to leave. So I could see Joe Hendry leave. He might be gone either by the end of the year or early next year, but I could definitely see him being in NXT sometime late this year or early next year. But that's just me thinking out loud. But this episode of NXT, my bad. My bad. This episode of TNA was actually pretty decent for a live episode. I enjoyed it. So good stuff there. I still think we're going to get a TV deal for TNA. It'll be announced probably at Bound for Glory. Kind of like how they announced reverting back to TNA back in 2024, last year's Bound for Glory. So that's cool there. But TNA was pretty good for the most part. But what did you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.